So today we'll be talking about issues relating to reading scientific write-ups, as well as a few things that we just need to also remind ourselves of as doctoral candidates. One, it's very important that we give ourselves to reading as much as we can. And I know that at some point that may also take us to asking questions about how much of this should
in the
we do,
landscape of assessments.
especially when it comes to writing our literature as well as putting up our thesis together. Uh, Please pardon me. My name again is Uju Agumbiade, and then the two of us that be handling today's topic is myself and Professor Shakpere. I believe Professor Shakpere is already online with us. Please, Prof, if you are online, you can just drop a message while we move on. So I'm going to take the first part of today's interaction, and then he will take over from there after we are done looking at, taking our attendance. We'll be looking at this very important part of our journey in developing our research ideas. Remember, the doctoral training is more or less about us putting up our research ideas across in a manner that it becomes not only reasonable or sensible to us, as well as the experts in our field, but also to other end users who may not necessarily have the kind of expertise and the kind of skills that we have in our different disciplines. And that's why we cannot overemphasize the place of writing, which in itself is something that develops with practice and over a period of time. And one of those things that we also need to constantly remind ourselves of is that for us to be good writers, we also need to read. Readers is what we were told while we were growing up, our leaders. And as doctoral researchers, we are coming on board into the academic community and the community of practice that we are trying to earn our doctorate degree from or in as experts. And so we can't be an expert when we have a shallow mind and a shallow attitude towards reading. One of those things that you keep on seeing coming up over and over as we get closer to the time that we'll be presenting our research proposals, screen and slides. I still believe that we can still see my slides also. So I was saying that it's very important for us to put ourselves so deep into the academic resources that are out there, especially the literature that counts when it comes to our research idea. One thing again that it's also very important that I want to reiterate is that we are likely to be confronted with so much information out there. And if we are not able to manage this, we may be moving between so many directions in our research proposal development. And one of the things that you we also want to remind ourselves is that when you are developing your research idea, your doctoral thesis is almost after a single story. You are telling a story that should be coherent, that should be logical, that should be directional, and will also be meaningful because the whole essence of having a doctorate degree can actually be divided into these broad categories. One is that you are not trying to reinvent what others have done, but you are bringing on board some innovations, even though no one is expecting us to do a research that has not been done ever entirely, but you are re questioning, you are reinterrogating, You are trying to again bring in fresh perspectives and fresh insights into an existing or perhaps an emerging issue. And that's why the expectation as far as doctorateness is concerned is that we want to see whether you are bringing new innovations in terms of the methodology that you are adopting, or perhaps you are bringing new explanations that are not in existence in the literature, or perhaps around the conversation around what you're working on, or you are bringing in some findings that will not just expand what is known already or confirm what is known already, but will also have both academic, intellectual, and practical relevance. And that's why reading, writing, and managing this process is very important. Again, part of what we are also trying to remind us ourselves in this journey is that when we write, when we engage in academic writing, when we make factual statements, when we put up positions that are in themselves reflecting some sense of authority, there is an expectation that we must reference all this. And so, this topic, which will be extended to next week. It's all about reading, writing, and managing our references. And so we'll try as much as possible to go through this together. Again, like we all know, that reading itself can also be something that is complex. Sometimes you pick up some text and then it becomes like, what is this author actually saying? Some texts, depending on our fields, may even appear so boring and difficult to understand. But we are expected as readers to read and then to be able to comprehend what we are reading. Because if we do not comprehend what we are reading, it then becomes very difficult for us as researchers to engage critically with the materials that we are trying to work on in developing our own thesis. So it's a cognitive process and it requires us to interpret, to analyze, and then to do that critical engagement, irrespective of our disciplines. And so, because this process is complex, it moves from just basic recall to us also moving to advanced textual analysis. And in part of what we had treated before now, we started with critical thinking as far as this course is concerned. And part of the exercise and the assignments that we have also given us, we expect us to constantly reflect on this process, because critical reading requires us to examine the assumptions, even when those assumptions are not clearly stated in the writing or in the text that we are looking at. It can also sometimes be what we are observing or what we are reading, or perhaps what we are also assessing through the different media and others. But as far as the source is concerned and is useful to us developing our research ideas, or our research proposal, or our thesis, we'll expect that we do a critical reading of this text and the arguments and the implications that are presented by the authors. Oftentimes, critical thinking and critical reading expects us that we also put up our own assessment to then look at what exactly is this author saying? Does it make any logical sense? Or do I need to also question even some of the assumptions as being presented? And that's why it's not every article, every publication that is out there that we are expected to cite as doctoral candidates. Because before you cite an author, you must to an extent agree or disagree with that author. And you cannot agree as a learned person, as a critical thinker, without questioning the assumptions and the argument that is being proposed or being put up, and the implications of this has been presented by the author. Part of those things that we will also just want to highlight because of the volume of information that are available out there is that sometimes when we lay our hands on the articles that we are interested in, and we want to use this for our own proposals or our own research idea. Some of those effective strategies that we can adopt or perhaps put up sometimes are some of the things that we'll be sharing briefly with us. Whether you are an experienced researcher or you are just coming on board, sometimes some of these things we just need to remind ourselves of and see how we can use this in our everyday activities as we put up our research ideas. One is skimming and scanning. Oftentimes, as a researcher, as a student, or as a doctoral candidate, we are confronted with a whole lot of information that we need to quickly make an informed decision on. For instance, you are doing a literature search and you are doing an online literature search, and you have so many pages to flip through as you move from one layer to the other. And so skimming and scanning gives you that opportunity to quickly grab the main ideas that are in the work or in the text that is before you, and then locate specific information that you need for your work. When you open up your online literature search, the titles are most likely going to be what you will be assessing at every point you make that click. Say, for instance, you are doing your literature search on Google Scholar or PubMed or any of the databases or specialized search engines that are out there. The title will come first. And so, as a researcher, you have already in mind what your research idea or your research question is. If you do not have a question yet, but you have an idea, you have a topic, okay? If you do not have a title, well, at least that topic will give you a sense of what to focus your attention on. And so when you take a look at the title, you can quickly make a sense of, do I need to go further as far as this article is concerned? Do I need this article? Is it relevant? And one of the points that you can also take additional informed decision on using this information is the abstract. And so after the title, you can take a quick look at the abstract and then see if what is actually in this article is of essence to your own research, whether it's an empirical paper or a review, okay? Whether this review is the traditional, the integrated one, or the scoping or the systematic review, or meta synthesis, meta analysis, or whatever, you will always have an abstract unless it's a book, and you may not be able to see the abstract of what this book is all about. But at least for academic papers, there will always be a summary or an abstract that will help you to take a look at this information. And so by skimming, you can take a look at the title, you can take a look at the abstract. Again, let's now consider a situation where you then have the full paper. You have made that decision that this paper is relevant to what I'm working on. So you can take a step further to then assess the full paper and then see to what extent is this paper useful for your own research. And for you to be able to do this, you really at that point also do not need to read the full paper. What you can do at that point, beyond the abstract, beyond the title, is to also take a good quick look at the uh, the introduction, if you can. If you cannot, you can just flip back to the discussion of the findings if the paper in question is an empirical paper. The discussion of findings, you will find out that the main essence of embarking on that research will be captured in the first paragraph of the article. That summarizes why this study was done and what is the addition that the study itself is bringing on board to the body of knowledge that exists in that direction. And these paragraphs that then comes after this will then give you a sense of the main findings, the main ideas. By reading through this discussion of findings, it will also give you a sense of the methodology that was adopted and the methods that was used if the section of that paper is properly done. You know, the time that you are going to spend reading this section of an article is quite different from the volume of effort and the concentration that you will require where if we were to go through the full paper before you making a sense of what exactly is important. Again, skimming and scanning will also help you to pick out the salient parts of that study that is relevant to your own idea. It's not everything that is in a paper that has been published that will then be useful to your own research. We just need to focus your attention on those ones that are cogent, that are important. And for us to be able to do effective skimming and scanning, we again need to fall back on our cognition, the cognitive strategy, which is all about, again, for instance, you pick up a paper from the title, from the abstract, you can have a sense of what the content may likely be, of what the structure of that paper may likely take. Say, for instance, if you pick up a paper written in a field in mathematics, you already know the structure that this may also take compared to picking up a paper that is written by a historian, okay, or perhaps a biologist. All this because I can't be a sociologist as I am now, and then claim to be conducting a research that is absolutely has no relevance to my discipline and is totally in the field of biology, for instance, as an area, or chemical engineering, or a subset of civil engineering. Okay, so the cognitive strategies that we are talking about here, one is the ability to be able to have a sense, a guess of what the content may likely be like, going by what the title is and the abstract. And this is also then going to lead us to asking questions, because if you do not ask relevant questions as far as that article is concerned, it may not really make that much sense to you. Again, the question that we are talking about here now is not just coming from that article, that material that you are reading at that material time, but it's also connected to your own research idea, your research topic. And if you have a research question already, by research question again, I'm not speaking about the specific research questions that you have as your specific research questions, but the question that your thesis is trying to provide an informed answer to. Because when you put up the whole thesis, the expectation is that we should be able to have what exactly is the focus and the question that you have resolved going by your thesis. Okay. And so when you then look at the article, what kind of questions do we need to then ask as a reader for you to be able to extract the needed information that is relevant to your research from that paper? Again, summarizing what we have read is key. One, because this does not just help you to add your voice, it also helps you to bring some level of originality into what you are working on. Because as you are reading, as you are also applying your mind to what you are reading, by summarizing, you are again activating your own ability to further understand what others have done and what is it that you are doing and how to also improve on it. Also by reading this and then summarizing, asking questions, you can then infer, and you can also do some kind of visualization on your mind, in your mind. Visualize some of these things that you're working on, that you are reading, especially for those of us that are in tech based related fields and others where you need a lot of visualization. Remember, even before you put up a diagram or any image on paper, that image or diagram would have existed on your mind. Because if you cannot comprehend, if you cannot do a mind mapping of what you want to do, then it becomes difficult for you to be able to visualize this. And then again, part of what we then be expecting that we will be doing at that point is to also monitor whether we are comprehending the material that we are reading or not. And then again, like I mentioned before now, remember, there are differences in our disciplines in terms of how we also approach our research. But even with that, there is a need for us to also ensure that we focus our attention on what we are reading. Because you cannot also decide to say, oh, I want to cover all 50 articles or 10 or 15 articles in a day, because that would also not be practicable. It will also not be realistic. And so it is very important that one, we again focus our attention on specific aspects, on specific things per time. Because if you just pick up an article and you are not systematic, you are not careful about, you have judged already that okay, this is useful. The abstract is the title is has some relevance to what you're working on, and the abstract has relevant information for you. But if you are not focused on that task at that moment that you are doing, chances are very high that you may also be distracted. And that's why it's good that we, as much as we are trying to cover so much ground, we are also pragmatic. We are also realistic with ourselves in terms of what we can cover per time. So when we talk about critical reading, as we are trying to again reflect on, it goes beyond you just comprehending to then analyzing the information, evaluating this, and synthesizing what you have read. Oftentimes we do this in form of putting up sentences to form a coherent paragraph, okay, as a single idea of the sense in which we are made out of what we are reading. And so critical reading also encourages us, like I mentioned, to have a sense of our discussion. So we'll be talking about critical reading and how we then need to constantly engage in this as we develop our research ideas. And then also that this is also beyond our current journey. It's These are skills that you also find relevant even beyond your doctoral program. As I want to invite Dr. Professor Shakpere to please take over from this point of this
Mhm.
meeting. Professor Shakpere, over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I want to welcome every one of us to the next stage of this lecture, and I want to enjoin us for those who are babies, those who are at home. Please let's remember to mute our systems so that we will not be hindering others from concentrating. I will be looking at academic writing as a fundamental skill. By the way, my name is Sakpere Grandi, and I'll be taking you through this. Academic writing as a fundamental skill. When you started your postgraduate studies, you started from the foundation level of your master's. But when you get to your doctoral studies, it is a different ball game entirely, because we expect that you may have had certain foundational knowledge of postgraduate research. However, we still need to remind ourselves, because doctoral studies is a very serious level of postgraduate studies. Academic writing is very, very demanding, and it will test your competence, especially at the doctoral level. So it requires our attention. You can see during when the lecture was going on, there is a nursing mother there. The baby requires our attention. And so if you have distractions, it will affect you when you are writing your doctoral research. It goes beyond linguistic accuracy, okay? This implies that you must be able to communicate your scientific inquiry effectively. We have been facing some problems, especially with some of our doctoral students, because sometimes some write like journalists, some just write English. We lose focus of the core of our research writing. And so for you as a doctoral candidate, you must be able to go beyond those your linguistic accuracy. If you will succeed in your research writing, you must display genuine interest. To some candidates who have supervised or taught in the past, I've had to ask them, what really spurred you to come and engage in PhD studies? Oh, some will say, I'm unemployed. Oh, some, they want to buy away time. No, at the level of doctoral study, you must be able to show that genuine interest, that you really want to do it as a part for your career development. Two, you must be committed to it. You must be able to give enough time that is required. My heart goes for that nursing mother. You know, for a nursing mother, for you to balance yourself with your studies, you're taking care of the home, you're taking care of the entire family, it's no joke. That is why sometimes I tend to give them more attention. So we must balance everything. You must be able to give your time to the home when it is needed. When it requires your doctoral study, you must also be able to give time. And two, you must communicate with especially your supervisor, so that the person will understand ahead of time that you are. I have my MSc student who is a nursing mother now. When she was pregnant, I give her all the time. Oh, when it is convenient for her. So we must learn to balance our time as it requires our attention. Many doctoral students struggle with this. They could not balance their time with other engagements, such as their jobs, family attention, other requirements. So we must be able to balance that. At doctoral level, we expect that you must be able to communicate your ideas effectively within your ideas. You can put it on something like Grammarly, and it will bring forth the various grammatical errors. So we must ensure that our writings or communication is devoid of any form of grammatical accuracy. Also, doctoral students need to develop their own writing proficiency. Many of us, we have not mastered uh, writing proficiency when we are communicating our research ideas. We need to master it, so that at any time, if you do not master it, you will have problem when you are developing a paper out of your thesis. So there is a need for us to develop our writing proficiency. Also, we need to integrate reading into writing instruction. What do I mean? When you have read a work, you don't just import everything like that. While you are trying to report it, you need to write in a manner that it will enhance your ability to develop coherence. Most times, so what some students do is they will just copy, paste, they will go to another work, copy and paste. So there is no coherence. One does not lead to the other. So that is why we are saying that it is very, very important to integrate your reading into writing. What you have read, when you are communicating through your writing, we must see it very, very clearly that you are integrating it so that it can enhance your ability to write, to organize your ideas, and to utilize appropriate writing conventions. Because when you are at the doctoral level, we expect that you do not commit errors that even a master student or undergraduate should commit. Can we look at source of integration and citation in academic writing? One of the most difficulties that doctoral students face when writing their thesis is how to integrate their work, the works of other scholars, by appropriating citation and referencing. Many times I have to ask some of my students, this is not your statement. Yes. So why did you not acknowledge the source, the author? So we must learn to acknowledge. It is only when it is your own statement that you do not acknowledge the author. Even if you paraphrase the statement of that author, you must still acknowledge it because it is originally that person's work. So many students don't do this, and this could lead to what we refer to as plagiarism. So citations carry significance when we are writing our thesis. Many doctoral students need to review other scholars' work with by acknowledging or citing them. Because when you are writing your thesis, eventually, you are, you know, it's not that your thesis is new. Somebody have done some work in it before. And so we expect that when you are writing, you are only writing maybe based on what that person have done. Probably the person is not deploying the kind of methodology you use, of course, which is the methodology gap that your work is going to fill, or the person, the kind of empirical study is carried out is short of what you are intending to do. So we must learn to integrate and cite other people's work so that we are not seen to be plagiarizing. Proper citation help you as a doctoral student, your readers, and the entire scientific community to reinforce responsibility. Why? When we are looking at your work, we are you may be surprised that the work you use in writing your thesis, the original author of that work may be reading your own. And if that author comes to your work and see that you did not acknowledge him, and such an author writes the university, even if the university have awarded you certificate, that certificate could be withdrawn. That is why it, you are not at any form of pressure not to acknowledge as many authors as possible. But what we are saying is, while you are writing your thesis from somebody's work, we do not expect you to write everything hook and sinker. You can paraphrase, but while paraphrasing, do not lose the originality of that person's work. Paraphrase in such a way that it still try to, strengthen the argument of that scholar. So please, as doctoral students, we expect us to uh, display responsibility by promoting the customs, traditions, and ethical standards and adhere to the the standard of writing so that nobody is holding you responsible for anything that you may have written as regards drawing your work from other people's work. At the end of this, we entertain questions. So can we look at the writing challenges and common difficulties faced by doctoral students when writing their thesis? Over time, I've seen many students facing across diverse educational contexts face writing challenges and difficulties. And some of these difficulties include one, referring to and selecting sources. Many times, the sources that we select are not appropriate to our work. The topic may look somehow similar, but they are not appropriate. You imagine somebody who is writing on, especially in the social sciences, you are writing on, for example, uh, can I say, management of primary health care. So when you are trying to refer, writing your thesis, you must use appropriate sources, appropriate document. That is why we always encourage our students to have carried out a very in-depth study of work before you start writing. Most times, our doctoral students are not patient to study widely. You see, you can download as many documents as you want, but at the end of the day, not all of them are required. Not all of them are that needed. So you do what we call you sort out. We shall ensure that in selecting the sources we are going to refer to in our study, in our doctoral research, we must ensure that they are relevant to what we are studying and what we are writing on. Secondly, summarizing and paraphrasing your information. It is important that when you are writing your work and you have consulted other people's work, major challenges as a doctoral student you may face. And these include your being able to summarize the information you have gathered. When you gather an information, the first thing you do is to settle down, study it, and understand what that scholar is trying to say. But when you are writing it in your thesis, you must have to paraphrase and summarize, because if you do not, when we are carrying out what do you call it, SI index, similarity index, and AI index, it may give 100%, and we will not accept that. So you need to summarize and paraphrase it. In other words, say the same thing in another word. Mistake many doctoral students make is that when they summarize or paraphrase, they distort the thing that you don't now, it is now totally different from what the original scholar wrote. Number three difficulty is synthesizing your information. After you have studied, you have paraphrased and summarized, you need to synthesize the information. And what do we mean by synthesizing? When you are synthesizing your information, you must ensure that the information flows. What do we mean? For example, you cite a scholar, you say, you quote what the scholar said, either summarizing or paraphrasing, then you critique or you agree with or disagree with. This is how you synthesize the information. When you synthesize like that, everything begins to flow. Because in the course of your critiquing the information, you are saying that at this point, at this aspect, this scholar did not carry out the work in this line. This is your gap. Everybody who sees that will now say that, okay, so this is the gap your work is going to fill. But when you just put it there like that, you summarize and you leave it there. You go to another scholar, you summarize and you leave it there. You have not synthesized. You have not brought out the positive side or what you call the demand side, or the negative side. Sorry, positive side, the supply side, and the negative side, the demand side. So we want to see the positive and negative. Okay, this person you are quoting his work. Where did you agree with the person? Where did you disagree with the person? What is the gap that your work is going to fill? So most times, many of our students, they will just state what the scholar said and they go to the next without properly synthesizing the information. Number four, we need to adhere to academic standard. By adhering to academic standard, what are we saying? You must you must acknowledge the original author. Many times, some of us, when we are writing, because we feel that we don't want too many authors to appear on a page, you leave out the original author's uh, reference there. No, it is wrong. We must quote the original author, no matter even if you rephrase the entire statement to your own word. It is not your original work. It is somebody else's work. So you must acknowledge that person so that everybody, oh, this is the person who wrote this book. So we need to cite the author and so we need to cite the author and refer. And lastly, that I want to talk about is our writing style. The writing style of many doctoral students is a very serious issue. Sometimes you read chapter one and chapter two, you will find out that the writing style is so deficient. We are not writing like doctoral students. And at this point, and that is why we have to take us through this. What do I mean by writing style? As a person, when you are writing, like I said from the beginning, is it clear? You are communicating to a whole larger audience. Some of us, we are writing as if we are writing to ourselves. You must put into your writing that this person who is reading it must understand what you are saying. That is why when you get to your methodology, we always talk about ethical consideration. In our university, when you are going to go to the field to collect your data, we expect you to have drawn your instrument and take this instrument to the ethical unit for approval. What do they do? We go through it to ensure that the question you are asking, the person you are asking, does he understand your question? The way some people draw their instrument is as if the instrument they are drawing is meant for them to answer. No, your audience is going to answer those questions. Did they understand the word? Did you use simple and clear words? Do you write as if you are talking to an expert? For example, you are working on poverty reduction and you are going to meet an Okada rider and you are asking an Okada rider, what are the poverty alleviation program of government, or what is the policy of poverty? The man does not understand policy. So when we are writing, our writing style must be very clear, simple to understand. We are not saying that you should bring it to the level of an elementary, but the person reading it should know what you are saying. And you must write as a scholar. There is a way a scholar writes. That is why some doctoral students have problems after they have completed their PhD work. To now draw out a paper from their thesis becomes a problem because of the style of writing. Ordinarily, if you have finished your thesis and it has gone through the third check, the similarity is low, the AI is low, automatically, you don't need to begin to adjust. All you need is to copy, paste, go through it, make sure that whatever you are drawing from your thesis is clear. Once you send it, it becomes very clear. But we have many people with bogus form of writing. I've up to six many students writing, they will write don't. No, in thesis writing, you do in thesis writing, you don't In thesis writing, you must write in such a manner that it is very clear for anyone to read. So, as a doctoral student, when we are communicating our research output, we must write very in a style that shows that this is a scholar communicating what he or she has done. So our writing style must be simple, must be clear, must be understandable, and it must contribute to knowledge. Now, maybe later when we get to data class, we'll begin to talk about all that. But generally, what we are saying here is that as a doctoral student, don't be discouraged when you face these challenges. For every phase of life, there are challenges. Everyone faces. Even we that we are teaching you, we face certain challenges. But what we are saying is, at this level, these are the major challenges that you are going to face when writing your thesis. And I want you to take care of these 6 points I've raised: referring and selecting sources. Select write-up or scholarly works that are scholarly. Don't just somebody who just pick a pen, just write anything. When you bring it to your PhD supervisor and your supervisor said, oh, he cannot accept this, it's because the source you have selected are not in depth. Many papers do not undergo in-depth analysis. You must be able to know those ones that undergo in-depth analysis. Then the second thing we mentioned, we said summarizing or paraphrasing. Sit down. Now there is AI, but you must be careful when you are using AI. If you depend absolutely on AI, your AI index will be very high. And at the university level, we will reject it. Your AI must not be more than the threshold we are saying here is 10%. Now, some other journals are coming low than 10%. Don't just put everything to AI because you are not giving your research the appropriate time it needs. There are times you need to sit down, pick a paragraph, let AI give you. If you see, whatever you give AI will give back to you. In fact, AI can give you, if you are not careful, confusing whatever that will be totally different to your work. So the use of AI tool does not mean that your brain is useless. No, sit down, you do some write up too. Look at it, write out in your own English, put it there. So there is the need for us to be able to summarize and paraphrase appropriately. We talk about synthesizing. After all this, selecting, paraphrasing, summarizing, how do you bring them together that they make sense? You must put them together in such a way that whoever is reading it is enjoying the way you write. That's why I'm talking about the writing style. For example, you pick some novels you read. So there are some novels you don't want to put down because you are enjoying it. That is because that author put his ideas in a writing style that attracts his audience. When you are writing, make sure that your writing style attracts your audience. They don't want to put down your work. There are some, I've met so many of our colleagues. They said when they just pick their students' thesis, they read even just one page, they are tired of reading, they put it down because they don't understand what you are trying to write. So our writing style must be very clear and will not create any form of confusion. Adhere to academic standard, please. There are various forms. As time goes, we tell you all of this. Number one standard we maintain in this part of the world or community is that when you are writing, you don't engage in what we call plagiarism. There are different forms of plagiarism. I don't want to go into that, but the most common one is that you write someone else's ideas and you do not acknowledge the person, or you write it 100% without we seeing your own voice. So we need to ensure that we write very well. Cite and refer to the scholar you are using the work. And when you do this, you'll be able to have a very good doctoral thesis uh, that we that will be accepted globally. So I want to stop here so that I can take questions from those who may have questions. If you have questions, please, can you go ahead now? After the class, I will send uh the slides to the class, please. Any question? Are we all around?
Yes, we are.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if there is no question, I will still give about 3 minutes for questions. If no questions, we will send the slide later after the class into the platform.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prof. May Almighty God continue to strengthen you. Please,
Amen.
my own concern is that I've been attending these classes about 3-4 times,
Okay.
and I've not been able to mark my presence. It's giving
Wow.
me
What's your
concern.
name, please?
I'm
What's your
Michael
name?
Akinsode. I'm Michael Akinsode.
Okay.
That's my number one question.
Okay.
Number two question, I'm a
Yeah.
linguistic and African languages,
Okay.
studying Yoruba literature.
All right.
The assignment we are given, are we to present it in Yoruba because that's the course we study,
Yes.
or we're not to submit it in English?
You see, we all teaching you, we are from different disciplines. If it is a course that is domiciled in African languages, I will say you write in Yoruba. If you write in Yoruba to somebody like me, I may have to get an interpreter. I'm not Yoruba. I'm from Delta, but I speak Yoruba fluently.
Okay.
But that is why it's good. Write in English. If you can do the two, it will be wonderful.
Okay.
So that
because
we can
our research is basically on Yoruba language too.
I know I've attended oral exams in your department.
Okay.
I know. So you can write the two so that we can send one to somebody in your department to help us go through it and we'll grade, because you will write better in Yoruba than English.
Yes, because that's our field of study.
So that if we send to African language, we send to a prof to go through it, and we look at the English one, we'll compare the grade of the two. So we'll give you the one where you have the higher grade.
Okay, Prof.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be helped? Those of us that could not mark our presence till now.
I have taken your name.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, bro.
But
Good morning, sir.
The lecture has been very, very good. You have done beautifully well. May you continue to be strengthened, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My question is closely related to Akinsode's question. Thank you for the way you answered the second question of this Yoruba of a thing. We are in the same department.
Okay.
But the issue now, the challenge we're having now is within the next few days now. Already, some of us have prepared our own in Yoruba.
Okay. Go ahead and submit. Go ahead and submit the Yoruba.
Okay,
then you can still work on the English one. We will send your Yoruba home to those in your department to help us grade.
Okay, sir. Then I'm still having the same problem. The first problem you mentioned, I'm encountering the same problem, sir.
What's your name, please?
Agility Emmanuel Dele.
Agility
Emmanuel
Dele. Okay.
Yes.
I will send the names to the coordinator.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome. Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. I think this has to be okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Unfortunately, I am not able to access my module, so I was unable to do my attendance today, sir. I just wish my prof would be able to take note.
That's Azubike Sylvester, B?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I've taken down your name. I will
Thank
drop
you,
your name with it. All right.
Yes, sir, there are some questions in the chat box, sir.
I'm having problem now. I don't know, because I'm a chairman faculty PG committee. And that's why something is breaking. They will call, I have to be cutting it. So if you can help me read those questions, I will answer.
Okay, sir.
Is
Me,
it
I have
possible?
a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, sir. We have been talking about AI.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
want to, is it an offense? Will it count against a candidate if after writing something, you just give it to AI and say, okay, summarize? Do we count that as an offense?
No and yes. You see, it is whatever you. Sometimes AI could model up your work. And if you know how to use the tool, it's wonderful. But the problem is, we don't want a situation whereby when we are carrying out the test of AI and the SI, and by the time you depend on AI, it can give you as high as 75%, 80%, 90%. At that stage, people could see it as plagiarism, that you did not do the work. It is AI that did it for you. But if you know how to use AI is a very good tool. But most times, you see, many people will just drop the title of their topic there. Oh yeah, AI, give me this. And AI will give you. And after giving you, when you now carry out the test, it becomes very high. We will reject the thesis. But if you know how to use it, no problem. But use it in such a way that you can bring down the threshold of the AI that is no more than 10. Do you understand me? So even if you tell AI to summarize it, read it. I was in an oral exam in one of my candidates. And after when the candidate, we were reading the thing, AI scattered the whole thing. And when we were asking, did you read this thing? He said, I read it. So why is it like this? The way he was looking down, I knew that, this thing looked like AI. So I asked him, I said, you use AI too? He now nodded his head. I said, yeah, that's the problem. There's nothing wrong using AI. After using AI, you read through it again. Because sometimes AI could upturn everything, that the grammar will not flow, everything will not flow, and it can even add its own. It can change even your authors. There was a scholar who wrote us that a particular student used his work and he put another person's name. And it wasn't the fault of the candidate. The candidate brought us everything to show us. It was AI. So there is nothing wrong in using AI, but after using AI for everything, you go through it again, check your original work, and see that there is coherence. Wherever AI has, misused the flow, you correct it. What we have with many students is what AI give to them, they just bring without checking their work. Thank you. Azubike.
Yes, sir.
You want to speak?
No, sir, except that when I dropped my name, sir, I did not add my faculty. It's lost.
Law. Okay,
Sir,
don't worry. I
Yes,
don't.
sir.
sir, hello, sir.
Okay.
Somebody was asking a question, at least from the text message I'm seeing right now. He
Okay.
said, thank you, Professor Ojoagunbiade. He said, sir, you briefly mentioned scoping review when explaining skimming and scanning as one of the effective reading strategies.
And Agumbiade has left. I don't think he's here now. I will tell him to check so that he will answer the question later. We took different sections, yes.
There's another question here.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the question is, what is the implication if I copy, paste, and cite the authors without paraphrasing?
It will give you an SI index that is higher than what 20%, and we will not accept it. Once you carry out your Turnitin test, the SI index will be higher than 20, and your thesis will be rejected. So it's better not to copy and paste. The person has already published the work, and you now saw it. You just copy and paste. So when you go and do your Turnitin of your thesis, the Turnitin will highlight it, and that will increase your SI index above 20%. and we will reject it. The threshold for pitch that we accept for SI is 20% at the PG level. We always say the if possible candidate can beat it down to 18%. Are we okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you. There's another question, sir. The question says, when you read a paper and the writer has referenced other writers, if you are going to reference what the writer wrote, do you use the writer of the article as your reference or the references that the writer used?
In many cases, I always advise my students, when you read such an article, go to the original of the article. Because now we are beginning to reject so person cited by this. If your thesis is filled with, maybe your name cited by this your name cited by this, you will be queried that, did you read the original work? So it's better, because that person who cited that scholar would have listed it in the reference. Go to the reference, pick it, put it in Google Scholar. It will bring out the original paper. You can now read that original paper. But you may, if that person, you use that person work in about 3 or 4 places, at least in one place, you may now quote that second scholar who used the original paper. You may just say cited by so person. That is the original scholar cited by the current scholar in the body of your work. Are we okay?
Yes, sir. But in most cases, sir, when you look at articles, people that have written that have referenced others, by the time you check their own original referencing or their article, you will see that their article is more than maybe 5 years, 10 years. And so in most cases, you might not even find relevant article that is closer that you can use for your work, for one's work. What can one do that, sir?
Thank you. What you can do is to look at that topic of that person. All right. Now put it into Google Scholar. It will give you current or recent publication. Many people, you see, research is like your thesis now. You are carrying out a work that somebody else have done. Now, once somebody who wants to carry out a work, if he sees your own work, he will quote your name. Do you understand? In another way, you can read through the work of this recent person who is quoting another person. You will see that after quoting that person, following, you will see his own words, that whether he's agreeing or disagreeing, you can pick that and put the person's name in your work. I don't know if you understand me. Hello?
Yes, sir. I understand. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand that explanation.
What I'm saying is, for example, a scholar, let us just say, what's your own surname? What's your surname, please?
Okorafor, sir.
Okay. You said you are somebody, you read a work and Okorafor. Okay. Refers to the work. Okorafor refers to the work of Olu, 1997. All right. And he stated it. You know, after Okorafor stated the work of Olu of 1997, Okorafor we also talk about that Olu's work immediately after. You can pick that Okorafor statement and now say Okorafor 2021 stated that so.
Okay.
You are still indirectly referring to Olu's work of 1997.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Another question, sir.
Another question on the, sorry.
Yes,
another,
sir. The question says on papers that have undergone in-depth analysis.
Yes.
How do we know papers that have undergone in-depth analysis so as not to be wasting our time on irrelevant papers?
Yes. You see, there are some, when you look at a paper, you can know from the depth of that paper, the way the scholar will interrogate the item, You see, when somebody is going doing the work and is putting what do you call it, this popular something on what do you call it now? I will remember soon. It just escaped my.
Wikipedia.
Oh, thank you, Wikipedia. I don't accept it. Anybody can write for Wikipedia, but that is why we insist that it must be. You see, go and look at all these well-indexed journals. If you go to any well-indexed journals, they only accept articles that carried out in-depth analysis. There are some journals. If you go to any journal, some journals that they will just the way you send your paper to them, that's the way they publish. So such kind of article cannot be an in-depth analysis. In-depth analysis is those journals that have carried out, two in-depth reviewers, and from the way they organize their ideas, you will know that these people have carried out in-depth analysis. It's not somebody who is saying what everybody knows. But when you say what everybody knows and you now bring in your idea and you analyze it, it is an in-depth analysis. It's not just a passing statement. I don't know if you understand me. So go to these well-indexed journals that are credible. You will see in-depth analysis there. If you go to Google Scholar will give you a whole lot of articles that are written in in-depth journals, and you can use those ones for your work. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There's another question in the chat box, sir.
Okay.
So the
go
question
ahead.
says, is it academically right to cite unpublished work, working papers, or preprints?
It is right. You can cite but when you are citing, you put on pub in bracket. That means the work has not been published. For example, you can go and attend seminar, and what the person is saying in that seminar is so in-depth, but it has not been published in a journal. So when you see on pub, at your references, you will now stay there. Paper presented at so seminar. Okay, so we will understand. Do you understand me? In fact, there are some publications that don't have
sir.
date. We always put ND, no date, in brackets at the reference. So it's not a crime, please.
Another question, sir. Also, which citation style is officially required for the university thesis? Which citation style is officially required for the university thesis, or is it department specific?
No, where to some extent we have already at the level of PG college, we are come out with a new PG thesis writing, and we have over 6. We have APA, we have MLA, there are many. We don't have only a particular one. There are some departments and disciplines that have their own peculiarity of citing references. We allow them. Okay, the PG college is flexible, but your supervisor will let you know. But once you submit your thesis to your supervisor, if you go out of the departmental style of departmental style, they will let you. We have over 6, in fact, almost, we have different style: medical, social sciences, humanities, all of them, science. Everyone has their own style. You go flow with the style, but ask your supervisor if we tell you that is peculiar to your department.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
my question is on referencing also.
Okay.
Because I sometimes cannot get the original text from the original author. We sometimes find parts of those articles published online, like ResearchGate, Academia, that we have access to. And the pages the numbering of the pages then is different. So you had sometimes written and you will say that's not the original page where you got this and this from, especially when you're making use of the MLA citation. How can one conquer that? That's my first question. Secondly, I'd done several writings where I've missed out some of the works I cited in text. I didn't put them in the list, and different things might have happened. Sometimes I lost the thing I was working on, and I can't find where I got the citation from and all that. Or sometimes I just forget. I tried Zotero too, and the issue still persists. And in fact, it was better when I was doing it one by one than when I tried Zotero. How can that also be helped? Third is when you're working on what maybe in our own context.
Wait,
Sorry, sir.
you have asked the first one. Your first question.
The first question is on referencing.
Okay.
The first question is on referencing style, knowing the exact page, especially when if you got the material from the article from a site that is not the exact work where the publisher had published in the first place. So the page is different, and whoever is accessing you maybe had the original copy because they had access to it. That's the first one. So is it so bad when you cite the wrong page?
It's not bad. What you do, you copy the web address where you got that article from and place it there.
Okay.
Put the web address. So anybody querying you, just tell him it is from this web address I got this paper.
Okay, sir.
All right.
The second one is how to not lose. I've been told the referencing tool helped, but the referencing tool is more manual, and I just believe it's another step.
Yeah.
It's still manual. I have to put it in, and sometimes is there a better way to get everything and not miss out some?
Yes, I too have fallen into that your trap. So the best way I came out of it is, as I'm doing the work, I'm also putting the reference on that.
Okay.
Yes, I will copy the reference and put it because your reference will come at the end. So every reference, in fact, what I do is I copy all the references. I put it on at the last page. I will go to the next one. If you say you want to write till the end before you start, you will lose many of the references and they will be asking you for them. So from wherever you get, copy it. Copy that same original thing. Put it under. So that by the time you finish your work, you now copy out all your citations. You now go to your put the reference there and then start putting them the one. I will still save that old one so that in case they ask me for clarification, I have to go and get courts. So it's better to prevent than to begin to treat. Okay.
Yes, sir. Lastly, if you're working on something that in your own context might be new in quote, but in the world or it's been long, like 30, 40, 50 years ago, how do one have a though the issue is still prevalent in your own context where you are trying to research, or we call them new discourses, which are not really new discourses for our own environment. How can you get the new, or as much as we want the 2020 to 2026 kind of citations we are looking for?
That is dynamic. People are carrying work on old studies and they are improving on them. And because they are improving on them, those old new work that have been carried out on old work become the new version of the old. So when you go and visit some of these addresses where you get them from, so the new one now replaces the old. Instead of you are still working on old. It's like now, one of my colleagues worked on community banking in his PhD work, in her PhD work. But at the time she was completing the PhD work, the government scrapped community banking. Now, what did they replace it with? Microfinance. Now, when you are writing a paper out of that kind of thing, what you do is to replace, that microfinance replace community. If he's still writing, putting community banking there, it's already old. It's out of pace. So the best thing is you go and get those who carried out new studies on that old discourse. That is the new. Am I okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very
Please, sir,
Yeah.
please, sir, help us to remind the first presenter to help us paste the slide on our
Okay.
module. So thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem. You are welcome. So maybe we meet again next time. I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prof.
All
Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. So for those who were not able to carry out mark their attendance, I will 3 of them submit their names. Michael Akisonde, Ajeleti Emmanuel, and Azubike Sylvester. I will drop it with the coordinator.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.